Is WWE playing it too safe? The simple answer is yes, but we're going to go over everything in this video. What's happening, boys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to your Clash of Italy review. We're going to go over everything that happened in this pay-per-view and hopefully, yeah, you'll enjoy it. So let's get into it. Clash of Italy kicked off with Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, and this match was alright. It was a good old-fashioned wrestling match. There wasn't any shenanigans, there was nothing crazy like quick table spots or anything like that. It was just a good old-fashioned wrestling match. It started off with some really nice chain wrestling. Both Gunther and Cody Rhodes got their offense in during this match. There were some really nice spots during this match where Gunther hit Cody out the sky with a chop when he went for the Cody cutter, which was pretty cool. I did enjoy that. But both these men put out their full arsenal of moves. We had Cody hitting pedigrees, we had Gunther hitting that huge power bomb that normally ends matches, but they just couldn't put each other away during this match. We even had Cody hitting the crossroads for a near fall, which didn't put Gunther away, and then we had a crazy spot towards the end of the match. Cody goes for this big Cody cutter off the top rope, and Gunther catches him for the sleeper, and I'm like, yo, this match is done, surely. Because Cody's centre of the ring, he's basically passing out at this point, and I'm like, wow, Gunther's actually going to win the championship in Italy. I was like, whoa, this is going to be crazy. But somehow Cody finds a way to hulk up and manages to get to the ropes, and then basically just hits his 5 moves of doom: the Cody cutter, the disaster kick, then the crossroads. And let me get to this. This was an absolute bullshit ending. I'm just gonna hit it with that because honestly this was so bad. I'm quite annoyed, but I can understand it at the same time. Cody hits the crossroads and Gunther rolls to the ropes essentially, and his foot's outside the ropes when Cody goes for the pin, which the pin never should have counted, but the ref goes 1, 2, 3 and the match is over, and I'm like, what? But even Gunther's foot hit the rope when he hit the 2 count, so it should have been a rope break as well, which is absolutely insane how the ref missed that. But I understand why they've done this. They've done this to protect Gunther from not taking a clean loss, because technically he didn't take a clean loss, he never should have lost, the match should have continued, which I think is quite smart on WWE's part, but I don't know if it's playing it too safe. I would really wanted to see Gunther win the championship here, because Cody, what's he got until SummerSlam? Like, we could have put it on Gunther like we did Drew for a couple months. Maybe Cody wins it back off Gunther and gets it SummerSlam, Randy versus Cody, I don't know. But an interesting match to start the night with a really stupid finish. But yeah, a decent match. We had Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Championship, and this match was an absolute banger. It was up there with the WrestleMania match, which I really did enjoy. Both these women worked really well together by the looks of it. But the match started off with some nice chain wrestling. Both these women would not let go of each other. They were rolling about the ground, throwing each other. They would not let go. But Jade Cargill got the upper hand and slammed Rhea Ripley, and then got a little bit cocky. She started doing some push-ups, and Rhea Ripley wasn't having it. She gives her a big slap in the face, and then it leads to the outside where Rhea Ripley goes for the cannonball off the apron. But Jade Cargill catches Rhea Ripley from this cannonball, almost in a powerbomb position, but she goes more over her shoulder, but she does catch her and hits her across the apron, which was pretty cool. And the match got back into the ring, and then it was just 2 powerhouses going at it, locking horns and seeing who the better woman was for much of the majority of this match. They were hitting each other with slams, kicks, punches, clotheslines, you name it, they were doing it. They were putting on an absolute showcase. And then we hit the calm before the storm. Both women are absolutely out of it, and they're in the middle of the ring, both lying down, and we're basically just at that portion just before the end of the match where the tension's right at the highest, and both these women get up and they're staring each other down. Then we have a nice yay boo spot, and Rhea comes out on top. And then we had a really cool spot. We had Rhea having Jade up for the electric chair, and then it goes over the top rope, and I'm like, oh no, this is going to end nasty. But Rhea holds on to Jade, and she stays on top of her shoulder for this electric chair after hitting the apron. And she's just there, and Rhea drops her onto the face onto the apron. It was an absolute crazy spot, but the match gets back into the ring once again, and these women are just going at it again. They're trying to finish this match off because both women go for their finishers and they both get countered. Rhea counters the Jade and Jade counters the Riptide, and then Rhea goes for another Riptide on Jade and she hits her with this nasty DDT counter. It was so nice done there because Rhea goes up to the top rope and hits a nasty back superplex from the top rope. At this point I think both women are very much done. Their tanks are completely empty and there's another stalemate in the match, but at this point the baddies come out, Michin and B-Fab. They come out to help Jade Cargill, and Rhea Ripley's distracted. Jade hits Rhea with a huge pump kick. Rhea somehow reverses and gets into a Riptide, hits Jade with it. She rolls towards the ropes. I'm like, okay, we're going to have another Gunther spot here with the foot on the ropes for the baddies. And it's exactly what we thought would happen, but they messed it up. EFAB completely missed Jade's leg and completely missed the rope, so I think Jade must have had to improvise and throw her own leg over the rope, but that wasn't a great part of the match. But the match continues and Rhea points to the baddies like, look behind you, and it's Charlotte Flair. She is on the barricade and she jumps onto them and she basically takes them out, hits them across the ring post, and then Jade hits Rhea with a Jade, and I'm like, no! This is how it's gonna end. Jade's 1, 2, 3, but no! But Charlotte puts Rhea's leg onto the rope, and it's another rope break. How has one referee seen 2 rope breaks in one night, but one can't see one clear one? I don't know. But that's just a little bit of a niche nitpick from me. But yeah, anyways, Rhea Ripley then hits the Riptide for the 1, 2, 3 and retains her WWE Championship. And honestly, this match was absolutely solid. I really enjoyed it. And then we had the highly anticipated Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar Part 2. And honestly, I do not know how to feel about this match. It was a bona fide squash match for Obafemi. He didn't even get to the ring before Brock Lesnar had attacked him. They were introducing him and he just got battered. Hit with 4 F5s immediately. I don't know how to feel about that. But did kick out of them, which made him look pretty strong. Then Brock hits a Kimura, and Obafemi manages to power out of it with one arm, picking Brock up, which was pretty cool, hitting him with a slam. Then Oba got a little bit of offense in, not much at all, but then it leads to the outside where Brock then locks in the Kimura again and gets hit across the ring post. Oba's going to go for the fall from grace. Through an announce table, doesn't happen. Brock picks him up, hits an F5. I'm thinking a count out victory, which would have been actually not a bad option here, because then we could have like a tainted victory for Brock Lesnar. Then we could have the great showdown at SummerSlam. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens next. Because Oba gets back in the ring and starts hitting a absolute late flurry of these uppercuts in the middle of the ring, and then hits Brock with that shot put throw. Honestly, I'm so impressive. But Brock hits a counter from the fall from grace, slips out of it and hits another F5 to beat Obafemi clean. I don't know how to feel about this because I don't think Brock should have squashed Oba. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting option because obviously we're going to have the final showdown, but I don't know. I think Oba should have went over again, but that's just opinion. But yeah, I don't know. We had the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between Becky Lynch and Sol Ruca, and honestly this match was pretty good. Becky Lynch tried to immediately catch Sol Ruca off guard with a sneak attack before the match, but Sol Ruca countered with his handspring, and Sol Ruca, the early parts of the match, pretty much dominated. She then goes to the outside and Becky Lynch goes for this move, but Sol Ruca is basically pretty much aware of what's going on. She goes to run up to the post and somehow Becky puts her up, but Sol Ruca hits a handstand and goes up to the top rope, and Becky then swings, but Sol Ruca moves her head out of the way on this handstand position and gets up onto the top rope and hits a cool moonsault, which was pretty nice. It's back in the ring and there's a bit of offense from both women and they're basically going at it, and then Sol Ruca goes for this nice soul snatcher springboard, but Becky Lynch counters it into an armbar, which was a sick counter in my opinion. And then they have a little bit of a wrestling, on the ground, submission type style match for a couple minutes, and Sol Ruca locks in almost a little bell lock on Becky Lynch, or an STF, but she countered. I'm pretty sure she better to counter, but we're going to move by that. And then a couple roll up. Match goes to the outside of the ring a little bit at this point, and Becky's throwing Sol against the barricades and having a bit of offense outside the match. But then Sol hits Becky with this nasty X Factor from the top rope. It was pretty nice. The top rope sequences were not done in this match because Becky Lynch pushes Jessica Hart into Sol Ruca, and the ropes, they jam, and Sol Ruca gets clambered up in the top rope, and Becky Lynch then hits a superplex. And then Sol gets up and she's going to hit a DDT, and Sol hits this nice handspring out of this DDT. It was a really good counter from Sol. And then she gets a little bit of momentum and she does this handspring backflip thing over the ropes to the outside, and at this point the match is getting pretty fiery. We're near the end, and Sol hits this springboard, and it's caught into a manhandle slam. I'm like, no, Sol's gonna lose, and Becky's gonna retain. They're gonna play the safe option again, and then Sol kicks out at like a 2.99. I'm like, yes, she's still in it. And then Sol hits Becky with her own manhandle slam, hits her with a little finish. But that wasn't enough to put her away, and then Becky's in the corner, and Sol hits the Soul Snatcher 1, 2, 3 with a new IC champion. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy for Sol. I think it may be a little bit early, but at the same time I do not care, because I really do like Sol Ripken and what I've seen from her. Once she masters that Soul Snatcher on the main roster and just gets on finding her feet, she'll be absolutely fine. I'm seeing a lot of people saying she botches a lot, but no, I think she's just nervous than now. But once she finds her feet, I think we'll be on for a top star in the company. But yeah, that was a fun match, and I'm happy with the result. And then we had the main event of the night, Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu in Tribal Combat. The match started off with a pretty big stare down, just building the atmosphere for this intense Tribal Combat match. Then we had a feeling out process where both men were just trying to get to know each other, see what was going on, and they locked horns and they started wrestling. But this portion of the match was just pretty much counter after counter after counter, ring post spots, interesting stuff like that. But then it led to the outside with Jacob Fatu suicide diving, and they went into the crowd, and I'm going to be honest, the crowd spot was a little bit underwhelming. They just kind of like fought through the crowd, there was nothing crazy. So after the crowd segment, we get back to the ring and weapons are introduced. Jacob Fatu brings out a table, and so does Roman. But he gets thrown into the stairs, and then we have a nasty stair spot. Roman gets back in the ring and chucks these stairs at Jacob Fatu's head from the outside of the ring. It was pretty mental. After when Jacob's trying to get back to his feet, Roman hit him with a drive-by post shot. It was pretty cool. It was like a drive-by, but not in the usual fashion. It was into the ring post. And we had a good bit of back and forth. Roman hit this pop-up Samoan drop Superman punch, which was pretty cool. Jacob Fatu hit the Tongan Death Grip. I think that's lost its value to me personally, but we'll get into that further into the match. The match then leads back to the outside of the ring, and Roman goes under the ring and pulls out a toolbox and starts immediately mashing Jacob Fatu's Tongan Death Grip handle with it. Now this was a smart play by Roman, because I knew he'd have to counter the Tongan Death Grip somehow. It's a really smart way, basically break the hand that you'd have the Tongan Death Grip with, which was pretty cool. Back into the ring, and Roman's fully in control at this point. He's about to spear Jacob Fatu for a table, but Jacob Fatu like hulks up and he charges toward Roman. That's the only way I can describe it. This puts Jacob Fatu in control, and Roman goes out the ring, and Jacob Fatu is going to go for that like crazy dive through the barricade with his butt. But Roman intercepts with his Superman punch and then spears him through the barricade, which was pretty cool. Brings Fatu back into the ring and hits a spear, and I'm like, this is over. 1, 2, kick out, 2.99 kick out, which was pretty cool. Roman then removes a bunch of the turnbuckles and he's ready to like bash Jacob's head across them, but Jacob Fatu intercepts with a crazy spear of his own for a 2.99 kick out. Fatu then goes to take advantage of a windy Roman with a mighty moonsault, but misses, and then connects with a second once he takes Roman out again, which was pretty cool. But it was not enough to get the job done. Roman kicks out and have a stalemate with the Yebu spot, which was pretty intense because this is like getting to the crescendo of the match. And Roman then takes Fatu and bangs his head against these turnbuckles that are exposed for like 5 or 6 times, and Jacob Fatu's rocked at this point, and Roman spears him through the table, and I'm thinking that's it. But Jacob Fatu gets up, and then Roman hits a second spear, and 1, 2, 3, Roman retains, and Tribal Combat is over. Fatu has to acknowledge Roman Reigns as his tribal chief. That's the way Clash in Italy ends. That is it for your Clash in Italy review. Hopefully you enjoyed. It was a pretty decent show. Nothing crazy though, it was way too safe in my opinion. I would have wanted to see a couple of things like Fatu maybe win or Gunther maybe win, but it is what it is. Also, quick announcement, I'm going to be stopping the Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews for a week just because I'm not going to be here, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'll be back probably next week, but we will get shorts out, so that's all good. But yeah, like, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and I'll see you next one.